Rosa and the rest returned from the chapel to the parlor in the mansion. So many things had happened since early in the morning. Of course they were high-strung. Oh, thank you, Sarge. Battler and George, who had cried, raged, and let their emotions explode after seeing their parents' tragic bodies, returned to the parlor and sat in the sofas, dazed, as though everything up until then had been a lie. Only Maria was completely unchanged and looked just like normal. When she wasn't playing pranks, she was basically a kid who played wordlessly by herself, so even if she was dazed, she would probably look just as she did. But as she turned on the TV and flipped through the channels, it looked as though nothing about her had changed from normal. Did Rosa think anything in particular about this attitude, which was clearly different from normal people? She stared at Maria's back as though looking at something that wasn't quite heartwarming. Eventually, Kumasawa came to say good morning. Her cheerful manner was clearly out of place, and she couldn't help but be bewildered by the strange atmosphere in the room. Oh my god, no one told Kumasawa-bachan? Christ. Then, when she heard the details from Goda, she reacted loudly with shock. Of course you've contacted the police, right? What should we do in a time like this? Oh, what should we do? Please calm down and listen. It seems a machine somewhere was somehow done in by lightning last night. Because of that, we haven't been able to use the phones. What? Then, until the typhoon passes, we can't even contact the police? Maybe Kumasawa's exaggerated surprise was a little comical. Even in this kind of situation, Rosa giggled. Yeah? Because of that, the fog of confusion that had covered her head cleared up a little. I've got to stay strong. It's not just Maria. I'm acting as a parent for George-kun and Battler-kun too, so I have to stay strong. Rosa had been the youngest sibling, with a large difference in age between her and the others. So she had always been treated as a child. Every time she learned something new, it was something obvious to her siblings, and she had built up a complex, becoming convinced of her own incompetence. So she had developed a passive personality, asking her siblings for advice every time something happened. But she no longer had any brothers or sisters. Now, Rosa was the only one of the 4 Ushiramiya siblings left. Furthermore, if Kinzo continued to shut himself away even in this extraordinary situation, Rosa would have to surpass this crisis as the head's representative. I'm not a child anymore. Not a child. Rosa slapped her knee lightly and stood up. She must not wait for orders now. She had to start moving herself. She picked up the receiver of the extension phone on the side table. Then she immediately remembered that the phones were down. Genji and Shannon, Genji and Shannon, whom she had sent to see Kinzo, hadn't returned yet. She had a good guess at what was going on. He was probably yelling something nonsensical again and becoming unmanageable. His precious chapel had been defiled with blood. That was easy to imagine. She had planned on using the extension phone to call the study, but unfortunately the phones were down. Rosa decided to go to the study directly with her own 2 feet. Her old self would have been too frightened to go see Kinzo, and in fact, if she did meet him, she would probably be blamed and somehow insulted. But this was no time to be frightened. As his true daughter, she had to make him aware of the current situation. As his true daughter? That's a wild... What? What do you mean? Kumasawa-san, I'm going to see Father. Take special care of George-kun and Battler-kun. I'm sure they're on edge right now. Yes, that may be true. It is truly pitiable. I shall make them something warm to drink. Thank you. Rosa went out into the hallway and headed towards Kinzo's study. The atmosphere in this mansion, which she'd spent her younger days in and should have been full of memories, seemed somehow different. Maybe it's because 6 people were just killed, I don't know. She began to climb the stairs in the entrance hall. Just then, in the faint darkness down the stairs behind Rosa's back, something glowed. It was a single, fluttering gold butterfly. It fluttered around and sparkled. That butterfly danced about without a sound. It was only natural. No one can hear the sound of a butterfly's wings beating. And then, it came to rest on Rosa's back as she slowly climbed the stairs. Rosa didn't notice it. If someone not in the know saw it, they'd probably assume it was just a single sheet of gold leaf in the shape of a butterfly that had been stuck there. Without noticing a thing, Rosa continued heading towards Kinzo's study. Hi, Beto. So, how will you entertain me with this next one? There are still many, many pieces left. Yeah, Iris has banded the theory of Rosa being Beatrice's daughter, which is interesting. I'm trying to remember if anyone else has said that. I think it's just Iris. In the parlor, which had fallen silent again, the only sound was that of the TV that Maria was watching alone. If there was anything audible besides— oh, Lily said it too— it was the sound of the rain, which had continued on and on since the previous night. Every one of those who had witnessed that unearthly and horrible scene stayed silent, as though praying that the events of that morning had all been a dream. Because Kumasawa alone hadn't seen it, her reaction was slightly different. The silence itself seemed more bearable to her, and she was anxious to encourage everyone somehow. However, she was aware that she must avoid saying anything careless, and she seemed to be pondering how she could be most helpful. Normally, it would be time for breakfast. However, possibly because something so outrageous had happened, Goda seemed to have forgotten to prepare a meal. Or maybe everyone was so beaten up that they'd forgotten their hunger. Kumasawa wanted to bring up the subject of what they should do for breakfast, but it didn't seem like the right atmosphere, so she really couldn't. But she really was hungry. So she casually made a proposal. This bit of internal monologue is like, anyway, Kumasawa was hungry, but she felt weird because 6 people like that. It seems everyone is tired after all that has happened. In times like this, I think the best thing is to heat yourself some warm black tea. Indeed, that is an excellent plan. I agree as well. How about some delicious black tea with biscuits and jam? Ah, yes. Oh, Kumasawa! I hear Halloween will be here soon, and we have some delicious-looking pumpkin-shaped cookies on the shelf. Did no one tell Kumasawa that Happy Halloween for Mario was written on the chapel and that— oh no. Good morning, my chair. Kumasawa-san, that's— Of course, she had said the wrong thing. She had reminded Battler and the rest about that horrible and tragic Halloween party in the chapel. Nanjo hurriedly whispered into Kumasawa's ear. Battler-san, I am so sorry. I didn't mean to upset you, truly I didn't. No, don't worry about it. I'll definitely turn this boiling anger back on the culprit. I wonder if the culprit is still on the island. Probably. At least until the typhoon passes, no boat will come. Yes, that is true. After all, the boats stop coming even when it's just a little windy. They certainly wouldn't come during a typhoon, yes. It creeps me out. You think so, Aniki? Me too. And that's even putting aside whether the culprit's that mystery guest or not. Indeed. We've naturally suspected the mysterious guest who calls herself Beatrice, but we still cannot be certain that she is the culprit. There is still the possibility she's a victim whose corpse still hasn't been found. When I think of it that way, there's something I just can't understand. What do you mean by that? It's simple. It's just like Kumasawa-bachan said a short while ago. Right now, this island is right in the middle of a typhoon, and escape is impossible. The same goes for the culprit. In that case, having the crime come to light should have been the thing the culprit wanted to avoid most. I see. So there was no need to draw that creepy magic circle on the entrance to the chapel and show off the fact that the corpses were there. Yeah, that's it. And if they were able to take the time and effort to do something so horrible to those 6 people, it should have been possible for them to hide the 6 corpses where they'd be impossible to find. I agree. That brutal Halloween party probably wasn't directed at those people who died. It was directed at the people who would eventually discover it. Us. It's probably safe to say that the magic circle was there to help us find it. I think that the word culprit was kind of ruined for me for a while, and then I read Umineko, and now the word culprit is just like catnip to me. I love the word culprit now. The culprit knows they won't be able to escape from this island for a while, and yet they acted as though they wanted to make us find the corpses in the middle of this typhoon. What does it mean? If I were the culprit, I definitely wouldn't play around and make us find the bodies. Beatrice-sama was not in her room, and the room did not seem particularly disturbed. No, Milady did disturb it quite a lot, though. Come to think of it, what happened to Jessica? Kanan-san is looking after her. They are probably in Milady's room. That isn't good. The culprit is definitely still on the island. In this situation, I don't believe it's a very good idea to isolate ourselves in small numbers. What do you mean by that? You don't mean to say that the culprit plans to kill all of us? Oh... I just made the noise as best I could. The fucking noise that Kumasawa-bachan just made. Let us remain calm. That is not yet certain. I hate when there's so many old people in one scene, I have to just do a bunch of different, like, a bunch of slightly different old person voices. But unfortunately, we can't deny that the possibility exists. This letter was in the chapel. According to this, the culprit is the witch, and if we don't solve the riddle of Grandfather's epitaph and find the gold, I'll massacre the whole family, or something like that. Is that true? Would you allow me to read it as well? Thank you, Allie. Doing my best with them. They're really fun to do. Kumasawa's just kind of making noises. Now Nanjo is too. As they read the witch's letter, Goda, Kumasawa, and Nanjo's faces grew even paler than they had been. Kumasawa could no longer hide her shaking. If you don't want to die, try finding Grandfather's hidden gold. Is that it? Screwing around with us. I'll bet she can't solve the riddle, so she's trying to make us solve it. However, I wonder what the truth is. Madame always stated that the legend of the gold was nothing more than an illusion created by the Master. It is doubtful whether it actually existed. True. Supposedly they thought it would be nice if it did exist, but only half believed it. The relatives started believing in the legend of the gold only after Kinzo's health worsened and the inheritance problem came up. Until then, hardly anyone believed in it, I understand. Oh, thanks for the hydrate, Sarge. Oh, so maybe that's why. Do you remember? On the table in the chapel, there were 3 gold ingots. That alone would be worth quite a lot. Doesn't that prove that the legend of the gold was real? They have the one-winged eagle on them and everything. They do look pretty. I don't know how you could just get gold. I think it would be pretty hard. Excuse me, please wait. Just now, did you say there were 3 gold bars? Yeah, there were definitely 3 of them piled up. So what? I happened to hear Kraus-sama say something once. Yes, I just happened to hear it, you see. It's not like I was trying to listen in on secret discussions, no indeed. Alright, Kumasawa. Don't worry about that now. So then what? Is there something wrong with there being 3 of those gold bars? Yes. According to Kraus-sama, there was only 1 bar ever found to support the legend of the gold. That is correct. I believe Kinzo-san showed the president of Marso the Mountain of Gold and let him take 1 bar back with him, or so the story goes. That 1 bar came to be in Kraus-sama's possession, and he said that no other gold supporting the Master's Legend of the Gold existed. You're talking about Uncle Kraus here? So what does that mean? No, wait. 3? Wait, where did they come from? That's too many, right? Perhaps there is another explanation. Maybe the other relatives also found 1 each, and they each brought 1 of them there. No, I cannot believe that. When all of the relatives came to the mansion, I was entrusted with their luggage. I did not feel a suspicious weight back then. I think those would weigh about 10 kilograms. If that much weight was in their bags, even I would notice. But it didn't seem that way. Same here. At the most, there were some changes of clothes, a first aid kit, Kyrie-san's makeup. Stuff like that, I think. Aunt Rosa's luggage also looked pretty light. In that case, those 3 piled up gold bars were being shown to them, or maybe to us. The legend of the gold is definitely real. It isn't an illusion. They're telling us to try and find out the secret if we can. Could they be scheming to have us solve the epitaph, which points to where the gold is hidden, and then try to snatch it away? Well, I feel like the implication is that if they have 3 of the bars of gold to show you, that they know where the gold is. Yeah, that does make some sense, but there are a couple parts that don't fit. To start, our parents, who should have been the most likely to solve the epitaph, were killed first. That seems to create a contradiction right off the bat to me. And something else makes even less sense. If the legend of the gold is actually true, then how were they able to pile up all that gold? It's almost like the culprits already found the gold, and it's telling us to try and find it too. Maybe the culprit found those 3 like Uncle Kraus did. Maybe that convinced them that the legend is true, and they're trying to make us search for the rest. I think that way fits the best. The pieces on the chessboard aren't lined up at all. We don't have a clue what the culprit is planning, what they want, or what they want to make us do. Is there any point? No matter what we think, is there anything we can figure out right now? It was written down. What she wanted to make us do. Couldn't anyone read it? Maria suddenly laughed in a creepy voice. I thought she'd been concentrating on the TV, but apparently she'd been listening in too. Without turning away from the TV, she very simply told us what we were forgetting. Beatrice hasn't said once that she wants the gold. All she's asking is whether you're capable of solving the epitaph's riddle or not. Though I'll bet she's pretty sure you could never do it. So, are you saying you can solve it, Maria? I don't care. After all, she'll take me to the Golden Land, so I won't get in Beatrice's way. Ouch. In any case, it looks like we'll have to ask Maria if we want to learn anything more. Maria, tell us. Who is this Beatrice? What is she planning? You know, Beatrice is a witch. She can do anything with her strange powers. The power of magic can do anything. It can even create gold or bread. And of course, it can create sweets too, right? You saw, didn't you? At that time, everyone jumped at the sound of a door being slammed shut. When we turned around, we saw that Rosa had suddenly returned, bringing Genji and Shannon. Then, she rapidly approached Maria, her heels squeaking, and hit her on the cheek. Stop talking about that. Battler-kun and the rest will take it badly. Without waiting for a response, she hit Maria's cheek once more. Everyone could only stand there, stunned. I don't know what means. What about yes? She mercilessly hit Maria's cheek again. Maybe Maria didn't feel like resisting after being hit twice. She weakly said yes. Rosa-san, there's no need to be so harsh. This is my daughter's education. Do not interrupt. The atmosphere around Rosa, with Genji and Shannon standing at attention behind her, was somehow cold and yet dignified, completely different from how she had seemed before she left. She was holding something that looked like a gun. I couldn't imagine that she'd be holding a toy in this situation. Aunt Rosa, what is... This is Father's. Because of the current situation, I borrowed it specially. Everyone should understand. The culprit is still nearby. We don't know what might happen. I agree. Rather than trying to figure out what the culprit is planning, it might be better to first think about our own safety. Well, don't worry. Now Rosa has the gun. We can all rest easy, I guess. Father was fine, but he was considerably shaken by these sudden events. Fortunately, he said he won't leave his room, so he should be safe. For now, we should all try to stay together as much as possible. I agree. We don't even know where the culprit's hiding, and after all, there's no proof that there's only one of them. Fuck, is it Rosa with the gun in Golden Fantasia? It is! Even though I'd said it myself, I shivered. That's right. Could a single person kill 6 people and set up such a horrible scene all alone? Isn't it natural to assume that this crime was carried out by multiple culprits? I agree with Rosa-san. It probably is good for us to stay together. Yes, I think it's good too. Yes. Maybe it's about time we called for Milady and Kanan-san. That's right. Well, let's have them come down. George Aniki tried to grab the extension phone, but Goda-san shook his head. That's right, the phones are down right now, aren't they? I'll go with a couple people. If George Aniki and Goda-san come too, that should be enough. No. Let's all go together. It's a wolves and sheep puzzle. If we're in balance while gathered together like this, then maintaining this situation will be the safest. A wolves and sheep puzzle? I've got it. I'll show you. Maria, turn off the television. Genji-san, please tell me where Jessica-chan's room is. Let's all go together. Yes, I will guide you. Come on, everyone. We'll move together. Follow my instructions. We stood up. Maria alone looked like she had some regrets about the TV, but she decided to go along with everyone for now and got up. Shannon, thanks goodness. I was a bit worried when you took so long to get back. I'm sorry to have worried you. The master ordered me to transcribe something for him. Transcribe? Shannon. I'm sorry, excuse me. We headed for Jessica's room, with the armed Aunt Rosa and Genji-san in the lead. Jessica and Kanan-kun were a boy and a girl of about the same age. It'd sure be a shame if we barged in on them at a bad time, or at least that's what we'd be joking about normally. I was about to say, Battler. Battler, I was about to say. However, Aunt Rosa was on edge, constantly exuding a sense of tension. So it definitely wasn't the sort of atmosphere for careless remarks like that. Hey, don't fall behind. Everyone move together. We don't know when or where the culprit might leap out at us, right? No, maybe Aunt Rosa's attitude was more appropriate. Since Grandfather hadn't come down, Aunt Rosa was our leader. This wasn't a situation where she could smile like she always did. And Aunt Rosa was a mother, too. She probably also thought that if she didn't get a hold of herself, some harm might befall her beloved daughter. The culprit had killed 6 of our parents at once. The method they had used was unknown, but there was a good chance this opponent could take down a large number of people in a flash. Would that be with weapons or with numbers? Or with the magic of a witch? In any case, I couldn't think of any reason why it'd be okay to let our guards down. The rest of us had better take much, much greater care, just like Aunt Rosa. Everyone, stop. Aunt Rosa spoke in a sharp voice. Wondering what this was all about, we peered forwards, and immediately realized the reason. Oh! What is this? Everyone, get back! Oh, Lily, I thought you were back already. Goda-san and Genji-san approached the door. Beyond this door was probably Jessica's room. This seems to be the same paint that was scribbled on the door to the chapel. It appears so. It seems not much time has passed since it was drawn. What the heck? Is that another magic circle? It's the first magic circle of the moon. It has the power to open unopening doors. Drawn on the door to Jessica's room was the same kind of creepy scribble that had been drawn on the door to the chapel. That strange pattern must have had some occult meaning. But it didn't matter what that meaning was. We were worried about whether those two were okay. That doesn't matter. Are Jessica-chan and Kanan-kun safe? This does not bode well. We should quickly bring those two downstairs. Oh, thank you for the hydrate and the posture check. Milady, are you there? Please answer. Goda-san knocked violently and yelled, but there was no answer. He gripped the doorknob with a clatter, but the lock just resisted him. Rosa-sama, it seems to be locked. What do you know? A locked room, you say? There's no helping it. Please open it up. Genji nodded, and Goda quickly unlocked the door with the master key. In the back of my mind, horrible images floated up and disappeared one after another. Yeah, it was in Jessica's room. A magic circle had been drawn on the door to the chapel. Behind that lay 6 corpses. So, if there's a magic circle drawn on the door to Jessica's room, then beyond it must be... Jessica-sama! What happened? Is she there? Jessica! What happened? It was truly heartless. The expression on Goda-san's face and his cry as he opened the door prepared us for the brutal fate that Jessica had met even before we saw her. Oh, so Beatrice was already inside when Kanan came in? Although she was just golden butterflies, and she turned herself into a person. And the others, Satan and Asmodeus, she summoned them. Uh, that's a scene that you might have to go back and take a look at, to be honest. Everyone rushed into Jessica's room at once. That scene told everyone that their worst fears were spot on. Jessica! How horrible. Dr. Nanjo! Hey, I heard a noise just now. There we go. Alright, girlie. Let's take a look. Ushiramiya Jessica. Found in her own room in the mansion with a weapon shaped like a stake rammed into her back. Finally, the very end, she got to be with the person she loved. She must have been happy. Inside the room, which seemed elegant for the bedroom of one so young, Jessica lay crumpled on the ground. There was a large pool of blood on the floor, and there was a knife or something sticking deep into her back. Was it a knife? There was a design on the handle that just had to symbolize something demonic. It had to be a weapon with some kind of occult meaning. This is horrible. She has passed away. Has probably reached her lungs. Not much time has passed since she died. Jessica! Damn it. Damn it! I love you, Battler. Battler, crying sprite, my beloved. Battler-sama. I was naive. I knew it. Since the culprit couldn't escape the island, they were definitely close by. So why didn't I get cautious sooner? I was naive. I just assumed that a culprit would commit their crime and then just sneak away and hide. We were stunned then. We thought that Jessica-chan giving in to rage and running off was just something that couldn't be helped. But we were naive. We should have stopped her. I really love the way Umineko oscillates between the raw, unfiltered grief of finding the body and then like the, oh, let us have a spirited intellectual debate about how these murders were committed. Like, truly, it's very on purpose, and it's going to make more sense thematically as the story goes on, but it's jarring on purpose, and it's great. I love it so much. Koda-san, why did you leave those two alone? If only you had been with them, something like this... No, that is, I said it was dangerous, so we should return. It's just that Milady said she wanted to be alone. Kanan-san told me to leave it to him, and... Speaking of which, where is Kanan-san? Where's my boy? Servant Kanan. The witch erased his corpse for fun. That alone caused an incredible uneasiness among the survivors. If that which exists resides in the human world, then that which does not exist is truly fantasy. Fantasy takes the form of what they fear. That's right. What in the world happened to Kanan-kun? Kanan-kun, where... Kanan-san should have been with Milady. Where in the world did he go? You don't think they got him? Quiet. Someone might be hiding in this room. Search under the bed and in the closet. There was a chance that Kanan-kun's corpse had been pushed away somewhere. At Rosa-san's order, everyone searched throughout the room together. But there wasn't a single human hiding anywhere. He's nowhere. Could the culprit have taken him out of the room? Then we'll have to search for him quickly and save him. If we're slow, something awful might happen. Aunt Rosa, let's search all over the mansion. Let's search for the culprit. Let's save Kanan-kun. Quiet! When Aunt Rosa yelled at us, we fell silent instantly. She was probably contemplating something. However, what in the world could that be? Aunt Rosa walked around the room as though looking for something, or as though she was collecting her thoughts. Yeah, the thing that we saw happen to Kanan was a sexy demon lady named Satan turned into a silver stake and pierced his chest. So, yes. Then she found something on the side table by the bed and picked it up. If anyone knows, tell me. Which key is this? Aunt Rosa showed everyone a key with a cute mascot attached to it. Judging from its cute appearance, I didn't doubt that it was Jessica's key, but I had no way of knowing for sure. It is probably the key to this room, to Milady's room. After hearing that, Aunt Rosa made a point of going outside the door and checking. Without a doubt, it was the key to this room. I wonder why it was set in a place like this. Wouldn't you normally keep such an important key in your pocket? Milady wasn't in the habit of locking her room. It seems she would only do it when she went to school, because she didn't want someone like Kraus-sama to look inside her room. I see. She wasn't at school, so it's natural that Jessica-chan would set the key down here. How many keys can open this door? Just the one Milady had. Can't it be opened with your master keys? They can open it. How many master keys are there? Are all of the servants holding them? Are there extras? Yes, we all have one. As for extras, I wonder. There used to be several, but Madame scolded us harshly, saying that was careless, so they should have been dealt with. That is correct. There was only one held by each servant. There are no more. Wait a sec. I think we talked about extra master keys in the last game, right? Indeed. Well, regarding that, I have noticed that having several master keys whose locations are unknown is quite advantageous for me. That's probably right. Since you want to make me believe in magic using closed rooms, it'd really hurt you if there were more master keys than we thought. After all, every time a trick involving locks shows up, I plan to resist by arguing that the culprit had a master key that someone lost in the past, or a duplicate. Yes, that's correct. So I've decided to make a move to defeat that. I'll update our setting. The only master keys are the ones held by the servants. 1 key each. Messing with me. More importantly, what kind of move is this? What's Aunt Rosa talking about? Who knows? You should try listening in. Thank you. I have the situation sorted out. And I've been able to pinpoint the culprit who assaulted Jessica-chan, or at least one of their accomplices. What did you say? Who is it? Aunt Rosa, you don't mean Kanan-kun, do you? Huh? What? Why Kanan-kun? This room was locked, and the only keys that can unlock it are the master keys held by each servant and the key Jessica had. But Jessica-chan's key was closed up in here, which means it's only possible that one of the master keys locked this room up. It is as you say. In that case, somebody killed Jessica, then locked the door. That person had a master key, and there are only 5 people with master keys. Oh my! It wasn't me! Not me! No, I could never do such a thing! Kumasawa-san got up late, After we returned from the chapel to the parlor, we did meet you there, but it's impossible to prove where you were and what you were doing up until that time. You watched us from the shadows, chased after Jessica-chan and Kanon-kun when they were isolated, and stealthily attacked them. Are you saying I visited Milady's room? And did something so horrible? I did no such thing. Yes, no such thing. What about you, Goda-san? You said you left Jessica-chan in Kanon-kun's care and returned. But I wonder if that's true. Maybe you actually killed the two of them, hid Kanon-kun's corpse, and then came back with an innocent look on your face. Nothing of the sort happened. I, Goda, swear that I did not do anything like that. It wasn't us. We were following the master's orders and... Yes, you and Genji-san alone are clean. That's backed up by what I heard from Father. The two of you were in Father's room the whole time, transcribing and witnessing for him. Father and I can guarantee that. Thank you very much. In that case, the argument becomes who is more suspicious, Goda-san or Kumasawa-san. I thought that myself right after entering this room. But still, I found it strange. Look at the state of Jessica-chan's body. Doesn't everyone think it's strange? Strange, you say? Jessica-chan was struck in the back. Come on, they say it all the time, right? That in crimes where the victim is struck in the back, there's a high likelihood that the culprit was someone whose face was known to the victim. She definitely wouldn't invite a person she didn't trust into her room and defenselessly expose her back. Rosa-sama, you don't mean to say that it was Kanon-kun, do you? I do. We're all fully aware of the state Jessica-chan was in right before she was killed. After seeing her parents' tragic bodies, Jessica-chan was very panicked. It's easy to imagine that, after regaining her composure, she'd be in a horrible slump. It would be very understandable if Jessica's frame of mind led her to shut herself up alone in her room, and those particular matters match with Goda-san's story. Jessica-chan said to leave her alone. Then, Kanon-kun, who is of a similar age and may have had some adolescent relationship with her, said to leave this matter in his hands. That feeling is also very understandable. So, for that reason, I think Jessica-chan welcomed Kanon-kun into her room. But what if it had been Goda-san or Kumasawa-san? Would she have let them into her room? I believe that I have gained Milady's trust, but even so, Oh, then I guess you're still a suspect after all, Goda-san. I assume Jessica-chan probably didn't like you very much, so I didn't think she would have let you into her room. I was convinced that you couldn't possibly be the culprit, but maybe I was mistaken? No, I am sad to say that I may not have been accepted by Milady. What about you, Kumasawa-san? He's like, no, actually, she didn't like me at all. I'm blind, she didn't like me. We are far too separated by age to understand the feelings of a young person like Milady very well. And for the same reason, perhaps Milady never opened up her heart to us. Right, Goda-san? Goda's fucking face. Yes, that's right. It would have been quite difficult for her to open her heart to the likes of us, and it would be inconceivable for Milady to let us into her room while she was grieving. Goda-san and Kumasawa-bachan each rubbed their hands together, affirming each other with a forced smile on their faces. It was a truly unpleasant rondo. So, it was a person who might be allowed to enter Jessica-chan's room while she was grieving. A person who might have been given access to her defenseless back, and who had a master key. That only points to one suspect. It was impossible for anyone except Kanon-kun. Look, I certainly don't simp for Rosa, but we may come to see why Rosa with gun was made into a fighting game character. I'll just say that. Please, wait. Kanan-kun definitely wouldn't do something like... Oh, then is there someone else? Is Goda-san or Kumasawa-san suspicious after all? Who do you think is more suspicious, Shannon-chan? Come on. I could never... It wasn't me, Shannon-san. Yes, it was not me. Of course it wasn't me either. The ones who had close relationships with Milady were Kanan-san and, after him, you, right? Yeah, isn't that right? Jessica-chan might also let Shannon-chan into her room. You were supposedly with Father, but in reality, could you be the culprit? Shannon couldn't be the culprit. Didn't you just say she was doing some important work with Grandfather? Yes, I know. Neither Shannon-chan nor Genji-san is the culprit. Father confirmed that they were together the whole time. Well then, what do you think, everyone? After being told that, no one could respond. Even if someone did manage to argue back, then they'd have to offer the name of a different suspect. And no matter who that suspect was, it would have to be someone right here. No one could do something like that. Aunt Rosa glanced at everyone in turn, fingering the gun like it was a toy. She seemed so different from the kind Aunt Rosa I knew. No, it's probably because I'm not fully aware of the danger we're in. I don't know, Balor, give yourself some more credit. Maybe Aunt Rosa's attitude would seem natural if I could truly sense the peril surrounding us. It looks like no one has an opinion. Then I'll give you mine. Of course, I can't deny the possibility that Kanan-kun's a victim without a corpse, but until we find that corpse, I certainly can't rule Kanan-kun out as a suspect. There's a chance he'll suddenly appear again, claiming to have been attacked by the culprit and confined somewhere. But take care. Most likely, no, there's no doubt about it, Kanan-kun killed Jessica-chan. No way! I can't believe it. Kanan did that? To Milady? That's too much. I feel the same as Shannon. I'm opposed to labeling Kanan-kun as the culprit. Then is the culprit Goda-san or Kumasawa-san? Tell me who's more suspicious. It wasn't us! If it wasn't Kanan-kun, then who could have locked this door? How about it, Shannon-chan? George-kun? Huh? Aunt Rosa closed in on Shannon-chan and George Aniki, laughing unpleasantly. Of course, they couldn't say anything back. They wanted to believe in Kanan-kun. But if they did, they'd have to suspect the other servants. The simplest culprit was the mystery guest, Beatrice. But she was nothing more than a guest and didn't have a master key. So if Beatrice is the culprit despite lacking a master key, then do we have to accept the argument that she really is a witch who locked the door with the power of magic? That's a dirty argument. Dirty. So dirty. What are you worried about? Make it my fault. You can just make it the fault of the 19th person, the mysterious guest, right? If you do, you won't have to watch this ugly battle of humans blaming each other, right? So then what? The culprit is the 19th person, the guest Beatrice. She's a witch, so she could lock the door without a key, using magic. Are you telling me to accept that? Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. In the last game, I learned all your weak points. So, what will you do? What will you do? You said you definitely wouldn't accept me, right? Then, you can use Kanan as the perfect sacrifice he is. Kanan killed Jessica. If you support Rosa's theory, everything is settled here, right? Kanan is already dead. There should be no need to show concern for the dead. And you won't have to suspect anyone in this room. Damn it. I won't accept you. But Kanan-kun being the culprit is impossible. Well, I don't want to suspect anyone. However, at times, there's no smoke without fire turns out to be true. Anyway, you can never be too cautious. Dr. Nanjo, what do you mean by that? Please do not misunderstand. I do not wish to label Kanan-san as the culprit. However, until we understand the situation, there's a possibility that he's the culprit. And I believe thinking that way is safer. Yes, that's right. You cannot be too cautious. The general consensus certainly didn't seem to find fault with Nanjo for what he said. True, no one actually thought Kanan was the culprit. But unless they suspected him, they'd have to suspect one of the servants here. We didn't want to do that. We didn't want to suspect. We didn't want to be suspected. That's correct. We cannot be too vigilant. I take it no one objects to that, right? Understand? There's a very high likelihood that these murders are connected to Father's Legend of the Gold. That means the crime must have been plotted by someone who wants to keep a vast amount of gold, worth several 10 billion yen, all for themselves. With that kind of money, you could play around for the rest of your life in any country. And with a motivation like that, they might even intend to kill all of us. Because she didn't have a master key, the 19th person, the guest Beatrice, is removed from the suspicion for the murder of Jessica-chan alone. But we cannot conclude that she's unrelated to the crime. After all, it's a vast amount of gold we're talking about. We can't deny the possibility that there are multiple culprits. Right now, one of the people here among us might have been bought by the culprit. I like how Rose is saying like a very, very important concept, but also the words among us. Yeah, there we go. Alright. As Aunt Rosa yelled, she looked all around, her gun still raised. Don't believe anyone. Suspect the person next to you. That's what she was saying. But no one wanted to suspect. They didn't want to suspect anyone here. That weakness in their hearts demanded an answer from those not present. There are only two ways you can be sure someone isn't a suspect. If it's yourself, or if they're already no more than a corpse. The same goes for Kanan-kun. Until we catch sight of his corpse, he is the most likely suspect in Jessica-chan's murder. So take care. Even if he's still alive, even if he smooths things over with some explanation, you definitely mustn't trust him. Got it? The contrast between Natsui with a gun versus Rosa with a gun. Oh yeah, they're invoking that big time here. No one gave an answer of their own initiative. However, those who met Aunt Rosa's eyes had to nod their heads. Humans are beings who live by molding themselves to fit society. In other words, from the time they're born, trusting each other is genetically imprinted on them. It's unpleasant to go against that. They never want to suspect someone. But if they're forced to suspect someone, they find it safest to choose someone who isn't present at the moment. For the purpose of safety and nothing more, they half-heartedly chose Kanan to be the sacrifice. Steam achievement noise, so true. That's ridiculous. I definitely don't want to believe that Kanan-kun is the culprit. By the way, at the end of this scene, we'll take a break, because I know that if people need to pee, they're like probably dying right now, because we haven't taken a break the whole time. We'll do that after this. I'd heard it from George Aniki just now, but not only were those two close in age, they also had that kind of adolescent relationship Aunt Rosa had mentioned. Lily, so wise. It may be a little late now, but yes, they really did have that kind of air about them. After seeing her parents' tragic corpses, Jessica, bearing deep wounds in her heart, would only have trusted Kanon-kun. It was very easy to imagine. And that's why I don't like it. Kanon-kun was the only one she trusted. So she wouldn't have let anyone but Kanon-kun in. So Kanon-kun was the only one who could have killed Jessica? I just can't accept that kind of argument. Understand? Even if Kanon-kun appears, don't let your guards down. As long as we cannot prove Kanon-kun's innocence, we will assume that Kanon-kun is the culprit who killed Jessica-chan. That was Aunt Rosa's claim. By using the vague word assume, she managed to convince everyone in the end. Everyone nodded weakly, and with the excuse that they were just assuming it for the time being, they concluded that Kanon was the culprit who had killed Jessica. I wonder what the dead Jessica and Kanon would think if they could hear this exchange. Jessica was crying. She was crying into the chest of the person who had put his life on the line to fight for her, Kanon. It was frustrating. So frustrating that it felt like her chest would explode. She grieved and resented how far the dignity of the dead had been trampled. How can those guys treat Kanon-kun like the culprit? Because there's no corpse. How can they treat you like the culprit just because there's no corpse? You risked your life to fight for me, right? Then that witch erased the corpse for fun. For them to call you the culprit after that, it's horrible. It's too horrible. It's okay. I wasn't able to protect you in the end, but I was able to be used to you in our final minutes. Why doesn't everyone understand that? Stop it, Aunt Rosa. Don't call Kanon-kun the culprit with that messed up logic. She isn't saying I'm the culprit. She's just saying I'm suspicious. No. She's saying it to be careful. She is saying it. Those people are saying you're the culprit so they can stop thinking. They aren't thinking about who the culprit who killed me is anymore. They aren't thinking of the possibility that you aren't the culprit. And after this, every time something happens, they'll use the excuse that Kanon-kun did it since we don't know where he is. I can't stand that. It's okay. At least you know the truth. If only I know the truth, that's pointless. I know it after dying. Truth belongs to living humans. If the truth doesn't remain, the dead won't be rewarded. They won't know what Kanon-kun risked his life for. Hello, Beta. Truly a splendid sight. You hardly ever find a sweeter honey than the laments of the dead. Lament. Lament. No matter how much you lament, the voices of the dead never reach the living. Everybody loves ahahaha.wav. It's true. It's really good sound effect. Damn it. Damn it! It doesn't matter who. Hear my voice. Kanon-kun isn't the culprit. Kanon-kun's corpse was just erased. Why? Why don't you understand that? Milady. I can't stand this. It's too sad. I hate it. This way, it's like Kanon-kun died for nothing, right? The honor of the dead means nothing unless it's acknowledged by the living. It doesn't matter who. Notice it. Notice it, please. Kanon-kun isn't the culprit. Don't go. Don't go, everyone. Please don't let it end like this. Don't go. Don't go. Rosa announced that this room would be sealed until the police came. The rest didn't want to suspect each other, so they happily accepted that. For now, they accepted that Kanon was the culprit. Without even imagining how much disgrace that gave to the dead, they accepted it. Milady, you've done enough. Thank you. Don't go! Don't go, everyone! I'm begging you, come back! Don't leave us behind like this! Don't keep treating Kanan-kun as the culprit! It won't reach. The laments of the dead never reach. You make me laugh. Yes, that face of yours makes me laugh. Did you think your voice would reach them? It won't reach, will it, Jessica? It's all useless. Huh? Batley-kun, did you say something? Yeah, it's useless. It's all useless. Just as everyone was about to leave the room, Battler stood alone with his back to them, still looking down at Jessica's corpse. What do you mean, it's all useless? Do you have some objection? Objection, you say? I agree we gotta stay on our guards, but sorry, I'm not buying all that about Kanan-kun being the culprit. Uh-huh. So you're speaking up at a time like this. If Kanan wasn't the culprit and it wasn't my doing, how do you explain this closed room that Jessica's room has become? To be honest, I don't even have a clue on that point. Seriously, why'd I have to go and say it's all useless? It's the best! It's so good! Guess I'd better take responsibility for my own words. I'm empty-handed with 0 weapons to argue with. But I'm not gonna sit around on the sidelines anymore, Beatrice. Battler-sama, is there some proof that Kanan-kun isn't the culprit? The expression that rose to those two faces was definitely one of anticipation. They didn't want to believe that Kanan was the culprit. They really believed in Kanan. So they were expectant because they wanted me to strengthen their belief in him even more. This song, by the way, for anyone who needs it, is Dread of the Grave. It goes so hard. Then, Batley-kun, which of the other servants do you suspect? Goda-san? Or is it Kumasawa-san? Quit it out, Rosa. I know the person called Kumasawa-ba-chan well. She'll sometimes slack off while on the job, but she always makes things fun for people. Even if her eyes were dazzled by money, she isn't the kind of person who'd kill for it. Butler-sama... And I just met Goda-san yesterday. Honestly, I still don't really understand him. But there is something I do understand. I've never seen anyone who cooks as happily as he does. He's the same. The same as Kumasawa-ba-chan. Goda-san likes to make people happy. As if a person like that could kill those people who praised his food as delicious, even if money was piled up in front of him. Then, who do you think killed Jessica-chan, Batley-kun? Who do you think shut Jessica up in a room so that could only be locked by a master key? Wait. Before I argue about that, there's something I want to make clear. I don't want to talk about it. If so-and-so is not the culprit, then so-and-so must be the culprit. I just want to talk about how it's completely impossible for Kanan-kun to be guilty. You say you can prove that Kanan isn't the culprit? How? It's actually simple. And it's something I almost overlooked. He's doing it, reject the premise of accusation. True! So the way that Battler is debating with Rosa and Beatrice at the same time right now is so fucking cool. I love it. It's actually simple, and it's something I almost overlooked. Beato, Repeat it. If you can say it, try saying it. Kanan-kun had a master key on him. Kanan-kun doesn't have a master key on him? How could you possibly know that? A short while ago, I heard from Goda-san about what happened. About how Jessica went to raid the VIP room. Right before she and Kanan-kun went off on their own. Goda-san, you did a good job remembering it. You protected Kanon's honor. I... did? I heard him say the same thing, but I don't really understand. Could you explain it, Battler-kun? That's right. When Jessica unlocked the VIP room, she borrowed the key from Kanan-kun, but didn't give it back. So Kanan-kun doesn't have a master key on him. Sorry, I couldn't help but mark out during that. I could not help but pop off during that. Like, that's so fucking cool. Like, okay. I try not to say shit like this, but Umineko really starts popping in Book 3. Like, Book 2 is fantastic, and Book 1 was obviously very good, but we didn't even have Red Truth yet, you know? We didn't have, like, the building blocks of what Umineko is, like... We didn't even have Meta Battler and Meta Beatrice yet. We weren't doing anything yet, and then look at this shit! This shit is peak, it's so good. Okay, anyway. I'm gonna reread this line because I went off on a tangent. That's right. When Jessica unlocked the VIP room, she borrowed the key from Kanan-kun, but didn't give it back. So Kanan-kun doesn't have a master key on him. Oh, look at that. Diagram updated. Is that really so? True, Goda has no recollection of the master key being returned to Kanan. However, she might have returned it when Goda wasn't looking. How does that prove that it definitely didn't happen? If you could just search the pocket of Kanon's corpse, you'd be able to say for sure, but you can't. It's impossible to prove. It's all useless. It's actually pretty simple, isn't it? Beto's fucking face. No way. So you're saying that's why Kanan-kun didn't have a key on him? Yeah. And to prove it, all you have to do is search Jessica. Kanan-kun's master key should be in Jessica's pocket. Dr. Nanjo, would you check for us? Indeed. Nanjo dashed up to Jessica and searched in her jacket pocket. Everyone was expectant. Please, be there. Here it is. Is this it? Yes, that is a master key, without a doubt. At Genji's statement, there was a small ooh of joyful voices. That's Kanan-kun's master key. I'll say it again. Kanan-kun doesn't have a master key on him, so there's no way he could have locked the door. It certainly does appear that way. But Kanan-kun was the last person to meet Jessica-chan. The fact that he's suspicious hasn't changed. Let's give that stuff a rest. Huh? Fundamentally, humans are supposed to be creatures that trust each other. But because we live in a tough world, we learn how to be deeply suspicious. So we suspect everything. We're sad creatures. I won't deny that's our nature. But the one thing I won't let you do is reach conclusions without proof. If someone looks suspicious, that doesn't make them guilty, it makes them innocent. Oh my god! I'm sorry, that's one of my favorite Battler lines of all time. I love Battler so much. Like, this is one of my favorite characters ever. What a fucking philosophy. What a thing for a character to say. If someone looks suspicious, that doesn't make them guilty, it makes them innocent. Of course, the world is filled with wolves. I'm not saying you should carelessly believe everyone. But if you're gonna conclude that someone's guilty, you better have some perfect evidence. Unless you do, don't go around accusing them based on speculation. I was the one who brought up there's no smoke without fire. That was careless of me. I apologize. Battler-sama. Wonderful reasoning, Battler-kun. Thank you too, Goda-san. Because of what you remembered, Kanon-kun's been cleared from suspicion. No, It was the crisp sound of the witch applauding. Well done, well done. Not a bad job. Crap. Did I fall for that bait piece just like you wanted? You magnificently proved that Kanon at least couldn't lock the door to this room. The servants should have all had master keys. With that as proof, Kanon was treated as the culprit, but you've at least managed to clear away that suspicion. In that case, how did the culprit who killed Jessica lock the door? So that's the problem we have now. I got drawn into exactly the flow you wanted. Good job, Battler. You proved that Kanon didn't lock the door with that key. Now how are you going to explain the locked door? I got you, didn't I? Furthermore, you said something outrageous about not doubting any of the other servants. Well then, I can't wait to see how you try to smooth that over. Shut up. Let's start right away. You'll probably just deny it anyway, but first let's check the definition of this room as a closed room. Very well. First, there are absolutely no types of hidden doors. This door is the only way in or out. The only way to lock this door is with Jessica's single key or the master keys, only one of which is held by each servant. It is on the second floor, but it is probably possible to enter or leave through the window. However, the window is locked from the inside. I can spin the chessboard around already. If I start by arguing about the door and the lock, I'll probably be stuck dancing on the palm of your hand. Do as you like. Well then, what should I repeat? Repeat it. Kanon-kun was killed in this room. Very well. Kanon was killed in this room. There's no corpse, and yet he's dead. The witch said so in red. So he definitely is dead, even though there's no corpse. Yeah, Zeros is correct. But I erased his corpse with magic, right? Again, repeat it. Kanon-kun's corpse is in this room. I refuse. I can't repeat it. Because I erased the corpse with magic. Yeah, figures you wouldn't say that. There's gotta be a secret hidden in there somewhere. Damn, where's the mysterious point I've gotta find? Did they lock it without the master key? Or did they somehow kill those two while they were inside the room and it was locked? Or did they kill those two and then somehow escape? I hate to say it, but I'll have to cover up the moat first. Repeat it. The last time it was locked was due to a master key. I also refuse that. This refusing thing is really vague. I don't know if you refuse because it's impossible to repeat, or whether you can repeat it and you're refusing on purpose. Back when discussing the lock to the chapel, you completely turned the tables on me. When I have an advantage, there's no need to go out of my way to use red when it might be risky. That's all that is. I guess that makes sense. Originally, the point of the red was to counter my strange theories. Naturally, I'll use it in a way that works to my advantage. And now that I know I've got to worry about you twisting it around, I won't use it pointlessly. Well then, what move will you use next? I imagine a move placing suspicion on Goda or Kumasawa will be easiest, yes? Damn. It feels like you're leading me by the nose and it pisses me off. Stay quiet a bit, I'm thinking. Of course, this door is the same as the chapel. When locked, it does not permit any form of entry. I'll say more. No trick could have the effect of locking the door from the outside without using a key. Damn you for always using red when I don't ask for it. Okay, this is such a good moment to point it out, but look at their really think about their chemistry right now. It's obviously a very antagonistic relationship, but like, look at what is cooking right now. Time to step back to square one. For now, I've just got to think. I'll lay out everything I know. First, there are two victims. Jessica and Kanon-kun. Kanon-kun's corpse isn't here, but Beatrice admitted in red that Kanon-kun was killed. So even without a corpse, he's included as a victim. There are a few questionable points, and depending on which I focus on, my line of thought changes a lot. First, after the culprit committed murder in this room, how did they lock it? If we assume the culprit's someone with a master key, it's extremely simple. But I'd like to avoid that if I can. Because I'd have to suspect Goda-san or Kumasawa-san, or maybe even Shanan-chan and Genji-san. Here, I noticed something. I was contradicting myself. I was strangling my own neck. If Jessica's key was in... Oh, Jessica's key, was it on the floor? Jessica's key is in this room. It was like on the table. It was like on her bedside table, I think. I want to deny Beatrice no matter what. I want to erase the existence of that brutal, fickle, ridiculous witch. So I have to explain everything with humans, not magic. But that also means suspecting some human. I don't want to suspect anyone. Of course, if there's some clear proof, I'll have to believe that the person in question is the culprit, but until that happens, I don't want to suspect people. Am I just naive? Am I just a kid who doesn't want to have my feelings betrayed, when those feelings tell me this person at least could never commit murder? I want to deny that a witch did it, and I also want to deny that a human did it. I don't even know what I'm doing right now. In the first place, the only victory condition in our game was whether or not you could deny my existence. Even though that alone puts you at a disadvantage, you've increased the number of victory conditions all by yourself, making your own victory harder. It's just as she says, if I just argue that someone with a master key did it, this closed room can be broken easily. However, the number of keys that can open this door is limited, and since it's clearly known who has them, using that argument means I'd be suspecting someone I know well. In fact, have I just been averting my eyes from the truth? Even while attacking that closed room trick in the chapel, which was exhilarating to destroy, I proposed that someone stole the key from Maria's handbag and returned it. If that theory's right, then the question becomes who could have stolen the key from her handbag. Maria's handbag was probably most unguarded while she slept. In that case, in addition to me, George, Aniki, and Jessica are also suspects. So George Aniki or Jessica is the culprit? Or maybe an accomplice? All of our parents have been killed, right? And yet, one of us consented to that and assisted with the crime? We all lamented, mourned, shed tears together in the chapel, and yet one among us was lying? That theory of yours about taking the key out of the handbag and putting it back cast a pronounced suspicion on the cousins, did it not? And despite that, you acted like you didn't even notice, announcing a theory like that so happily. Damn it. That doesn't guarantee that one of the family or the servants is the culprit. If you snuck up on us while hiding in a cardboard box, for example, there's a good chance you could have slunk into our room when we were fast asleep and stolen the key, right? Perhaps that will do for that situation. By suspecting the guest, the 19th person, you won't have to suspect the others. Well, gear. In that case, how was Jessica's room locked? It's no trouble at all for me to open the lock with magic, but of course, I don't have a master key. If you deny my magic, you also have to deny that I'm a suspect, correct? So, in other words, that means suspecting one of the 18. Oh, yeah, thanks for the help. I've managed to sort things out a bit. My goal is to figure out how the 19th person, the human guest, Beatrice, committed the crimes. If I do that, I won't have to suspect anyone. If you can do that? Foolish man. This wasn't a closed room from the beginning. After all, there are a total of 6 keys that can open it. And several people possessed such keys. You can suspect any of them. Suspect as much as you like. But you went to all the trouble of denying all of them, making it a closed room yourself. Understand. This is a closed room born from your mental contradiction. You and no one else sealed that door. So you're trying to say I've got 2 options. Accept that a witch opened it with magic, or accept that someone I know is the culprit. Damn, are you trying to fork the rook? I just wanted to show you that moves such as this can exist as well. So, what will you do, Ushiramiya Battler? Isn't it actually simple? Don't you just have to make sacrifices of that overly self-confident cook and that hag who wouldn't be at a loss if she died? They're playing chess, but Battler wants to win without sacrificing any pieces. That's a rough one. Damn it. If I suspect Goda-san and Kumasawa-san, everything will be fine? That's useless. I can't think of Goda-san as the culprit. I can't think of Kumasawa-san as the culprit. But I won't accept you, no matter what. In that case, they'd have to enter the room without using magic or a master key, kill Jessica and Cannon, and even erase Cannon's corpse without using magic. How could it be done? How could it be done so that you can deny me while still not suspecting anyone else? Peace Battler is fucking Snapcube, Sonic Dub, something just happened. Moment. I resign. Huh? Battler-kun, what did you say? I give up. I was able to prove that Cannon-kun couldn't have locked this door, but that doesn't mean I've managed to figure out who killed Jessica. No, that's more than enough. For Cannon-kun's sake. Thank you very much. Shannon is so baby. Look at her, she's perfect. No need to thank me. After all, this means you're under suspicion too, Shannon-chan. Rosa's fucking face. Rosa is neutral emoji right now. It's really good. And sorry, Aunt Rosa. It's not like I wanted to resist you. I don't want to die, and I want to find Dad and the rest's true identity. Sorry for saying something that wasn't cooperative. No, it's okay. I was also a little rash. Let's make up. As an aunt and nephew, we have to stay on good terms. Right? Aunt Rosa shifted the gun to one hand and held out her other. I reached out, and for the time being, we shook hands. Oh my god, what if Rosa fucking judo threw Battler? Aunt Rosa's gaze was sharp, like a fucking grappler Baki character. Aunt Rosa's gaze was sharp. In order to deny the witch, she would sacrifice anyone. That's what her eyes told me. And me? I denied the witch, but I wasn't prepared to lose anything. I was probably the one who seemed to be fighting the most, and yet I was the one who was most separated from reality.